He's held this position since 2015, and during this time, he's initiated digital transformation of the hospital by integrating services, equipment, infrastructure through an integrated hospital information system, which is centered around the patients and their families. So this has enabled the hospital to grow exponentially, and they've expanded from one central location to multiple sites, so providing increased access to quality health care with a personalized approach. He also led the accreditation of the hospital by the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons to become the only private hospital in Ghana to train family physicians. He has championed quality and safety in healthcare through launching the Healthcare Forum, which is an annual forum which brings together key decision makers from the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service, the regulatory agencies, private and public hospitals, and wider stakeholders, and which aims at raising awareness and coordinating efforts at improving patient safety and quality in healthcare settings. So he is a very seasoned and sought-after national and international speaker. He was the president of the Ghana chapter of the Stanford Seed Transformation Network from 2016 to 2018, and is a member of the Ghana chapter of the Young Presidents Organization, YPO. He's an advisory board member for Future of Africa, which is a charity dedicated to equipping children in street situations to become leaders. Dr. Edikem Tamako has won many awards, which include the Young Entrepreneur of the Year at the 2016 Ghana Entrepreneurs Award and the All Africa Young Business Leader of the Year in 2018 at the 8th edition of the All Africa Business Leaders Award, organized in partnership with CNBC Africa in Johannesburg, South Africa. He holds a Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery from St. George's Medical School in London, a diploma in tropical health and hygiene, tropical medicine and hygiene from the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, an executive certificate from Stanford Seed, Cornell University, Edge Hill University, and London Business School. And finally, but most important, he is a patron of the Students Representative Council of the ACCRA College. So, Dr. Tamako is going to talk to us about the fourth industrial revolution and its impact on the delivery of healthcare in Ghana. And I'm sure many like me were wondering, what on earth is this fourth industrial revolution? Well, it says that the world is at the brink of a significant change that is transforming how human beings relate with each other, communicate, live, and work. And the World Economic Forum describes this fourth industrial revolution as a digital revolution that builds on the first industrial revolution, which used water and steam to drive production. The second industrial revolution, which used electricity to drive the scaling of mass production. And the third industrial revolution, which used electronics and information technology to automate production. So a revolution affects every sphere of life, and as such, it will affect how we deliver quality health care. What are the changes that we can expect in the healthcare industry? And what will this look like for developing economies such as ours? What will be the role of the doctor? And how can we better prepare the future generation to take advantage of these emerging innovations? So by the end of this lecture, you will know what fourth industrial revolution is, the impact on healthcare, and how these innovations will be utilized in developing economies such as Ghana, and how we can best prepare doctors and new medical students to take advantage of this change. So, ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to invite Dr. Elike.
The hospital, I am not your conventional speaker. I love interaction. So, good evening. Good evening. Come on, guys, you're younger than I am. So, good evening. Good evening. I think you can actually relax. I tend to do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Because at the end of the day, this is not necessarily just a transfer of information. I'm sharing some thoughts, and I'm hoping that by the time we leave, you at least will get something out of it. Otherwise, it's a waste of your time. And I don't think that any of you are here because you just wanted to hear me speak. You want something actually that can transform your lives, and I hope I can do that today. So thank you so much to the staff, faculty of the ACCRA College of Medicine. I've known the HESS for a few years through the medical symposium, and I think that you have a very dynamic president because the key was persistent in ensuring that I could be here today, and I commend him and the whole leadership team for doing that. So can you give some love? So what we're going to do is to talk about the fourth industrial revolution. But the reality is that it's not really about the revolution, it's about what it's going to do for us and how do we leverage it. So it's really a story about us in this room. So what this lecture will not do, it will not give you an in-depth understanding of what this revolution is. It's quite complex, and I am not an expert. But it is also not going to be a review. So I'm not going to talk too much about each individual innovation. I think I'm going to give an overview, but you shouldn't expect a detailed conversation. And I would not necessarily give my assessment, whether it's working well or bad. I'm going to rather describe how it's being used. And there's a lot of debate about how it's going to be impacting lives in terms of data security, in terms of whose information are we playing around with. And I think this is what the focus for us here today will be on. So I aim to give you a broad overview. At least by the time you should have an understanding of what this is. I think that it does have an impact on Africa, and I want to share what that will be. In terms of how this will be delivered in Ghana, Ghana is obviously taking a number of steps, moving further along on this journey. There are a few countries that are becoming role models for the rest of Africa. And I think it's important for you, as medical students, to know how to leverage this transformation and position yourself, not just in your medical career, but in how you impact lives. We will deliberate on the emerging role of the doctor, and that is important for everyone here. And give you some thoughts as to what the next generation will have to deal with. So I'm referring to this because why this topic? When I was asked to speak, I was told I could speak about anything. And I thought of the audience and I thought, Lisa, you are the next generation of decision making. You sitting in this room, if you look around, are going to be in positions of influence. And at the end of the day, what I have experienced in my life has impacted my decisions right now. I can trace my journey from when I was in medical school. And I think it's so critical to understand, not just to be reactive, but to be intentional in your career progression. And I think this is a topic that you will be played with in dealing with the ethics of how do you make decisions when you are faced with the choice. So I would like to start with a story. I was, I think I have this slide, but I think for you, I want to kind of give you a bit more of this story. I was in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, in 2011. Now, I trained in the UK. I wanted to be a doctor who left an impact. I was not interested in coming back to Ghana, even though my father and my mother had built a legacy that was transforming lives here. I felt that I wanted to go to where the need was. So my intent was to go and work for Médecins Sans Frontières. I was going to be that doctor that saved lives. And I did a medical mission to a city called Butembo. Butembo is a city in the DRC that is about 500,000 people. Now Liverpool is 500,000 in terms of its population. But Butembo is 500,000 with no streets, no electricity, no water. It was really one of the poorest places I've ever been to. In terms of the state, it was also located where there was a lot of warfare. So we landed in Uganda and took a bus across the border, past Goma, and into the temple. Now the reason why this was important was because of militia groups. Because of militia groups, the actual crisis was using children as soldiers. And so we were going to some charities that were working with rehabilitation of child soldiers. But what we were looking at was how to find a link between Liverpool and Butembo to see if there was anything that we could do. So I go there, I'm the only black guy in this group of 5 people. And I'm going there, they speak French is the language that's more, if you've gone to and had an education. So I have some competence in French, but I noticed that all the people would wait till we finished and they would come to me. And they'd be speaking to me and asking me to help, and I kind of walked away because I just knew I couldn't really communicate in French. But something happened to me when we went to the Catholic mission house, where there were about 200 women and children. They were teaching them trade, how to weave baskets, to make some sort of living. These were internally displaced people. They were refugees in their own country. So they were from the DRC, but they were not home. And this woman who had delivered twins, and she had the twins in her hands, came up to me and basically asked me to help her. She had delivered the twins fast on the run. That significant moment transformed my life because I had to take a step back and look at what could I actually do to transform this lady's life. There was not much I could do because we came with some medicine, we came with some spectacles, but at the end of the day, I looked at the temple, disconnected from Kinshasa. If you were to come from Kinshasa, you would have to take a plane, about 4 hours for the jungle. How do you transport goods, drugs, and ensure the cold chain? If you even want to talk about a cold chain, there's no electricity. How do you transport drugs that are going to save people's lives? Vaccinations for actual medication. As a doctor, you might be the best doctor, but then I realized that the doctor is insignificant if the doctor is alone. The second thing was about the people and the staff. There was one doctor for a huge community. That doctor could not do the work. That doctor did his best, but literally people were dying just because they could not see anyone. And the reality is that I had come to Ghana before a few years when I was in medical school. I did my medical elective in Kumasi under Dr. Planjo, or Prof. Planjo. And I saw the state of affairs in Kumasi, but trust me, I had not seen anything like what was in front of me in Butembo. So I had a choice. Do I become an individual in a cog in a wheel, or do I take a step back and look at what is my role in this narrative? My father and my mother had started Yano. My father had started Yano. My mother had come into the organization. My father died in the hospital in a meeting with my mother, whilst my mother was there. And he died suddenly, and she had to ensure the organization would not fail. But the challenge my father had was the brain drain. In the 80s, you had lots of doctors who were leaving. And my mother was talking about a story where Christmas Day, no doctor available, but this organization could not fail. And she had to call Christmas Eve, call many people, and said that she would pay anything just so that there could be a doctor for Christmas Day and Boxing Day. So I realized that Ghana has its own problems, but I have a responsibility. So the topic for me is that if we are very intentional, there is solutions that will help us, which is not based on our own individual knowledge. It's not going to be based on our own individual capacity, but it's going to be based on how we leverage technology and use it for the people we are called to serve. And those are the patients in front of us. So that is why, for me, this topic is important, but it is really for us to focus on the patient. Now, I talked about the fourth industrial revolution, and I'm saying this as a revolution because if you think of the impact, the first revolution, 1700s, this is where we start to use steam and water-intensive engine, windmills. You start to see how mechanics transform agriculture. Farming transformed, the population is growing, people can actually start to farm and get enough food for the population. You also see this in terms of the printing press. So it was used in certain forms, but it was huge machinery, and this is how the 1800s came into being, because mass production, the transfer of information, was literally moving from someone writing or someone using a press to print on paper to now a system that can do it multiple times. If you think about Christianity in the Dark Ages, the Bible that we have so easily available to us contains many, many pages. And whoever held the information controlled the narrative. So what you see is a beginning of a democratization of knowledge. So this has an impact. And you start to see that with mass production, electricity comes in at the same time. So electricity is harnessed, and we start to see a bit more connection between people. People are beginning to talk to each other, and people are able to start communicating information. Now, you look at the timelines, this is a simplification, because it's actually an exponential curve in terms of how long it took. So this took hundreds of years. This, I think, would have taken a bit shorter than that. But when you come to what we call as the third revolution, this is where we start to have digital television, harnessing electricity in machines to actually communicate and to make things simpler. So the computer and all of the things that you see as IT systems came in this third industrial wave. So you can imagine, I hope you can imagine with me these waves of change. I mean, there was a time when, I think it was IBM, said the computer would only be used in very specific industries. And someone called Bill Gates has a dream to see a computer in every household in the world. That was his dream, a very ambitious dream. And so what you begin to see is a democratization. It is that the barriers are being moved, and we are seeing access to information. And so the transformation of the computer, right now, I believe everyone will have. Even if you look at your phones, every phone is more powerful than the computers in those times. And that is showing you how democratization, how information flow affects our ability to do work. So Google came in around this time. But now, as you start to get computers and start to get knowledge, the data is enormous. There is so much data, and human beings, in terms of processing, human beings, I'm not sure if you've done optics, but your brain actually numbs the amount of data it takes in terms of its eyes, in terms of what it processes, because it cannot take all of that information at one go. And so human beings have a way of taking in information, and they have a way of actually expressing themselves. So if you look at what doctors would have done in the 80s and 90s, you have experts. Certain specialties are quite young. Emergency medicine, which is the specialty I was in, is actually a young specialty. In Ghana, it's less than a decade, 10 years. So you start to see specialists, people who focus on a specific area. And these people spend years to get that information, and they have to remember it, they become very focused. And so you find around the world that actually training these people is very expensive. How do you train a neurosurgeon? How do you train a pediatric neurosurgeon or pediatric cardiologist? It takes time. And so what you start to see is that this fourth industrial revolution, you start to see data being analyzed. And it's called adaptability. So where I have automation is that do A, B, C, And instead of a human being doing ABC, the computer can do ABC. Adaptability is the ability to do ABC and find out it gives you this outcome, and if you do it this way, it gives you a different outcome, and it starts to learn, and it starts to adapt. So this is what we start to say as some of the terms that you hear as big data. So if we look at some of the terms now commonly used in the fourth industrial revolution, you hear things like artificial intelligence, big data and analytics, virtual and augmented reality. Just out of the show, I'm interested in this group. I'm not sure how old you are, but how many of you are playing any games using virtual or augmented reality? So you'll notice something happening on your iPhones or the App Store. You're going to start to see that a lot of the apps, a lot of the games are actually virtual reality and augmented reality. And when you hear Apple doing their new phones, a lot of the time they show these technologies. They begin to influence every aspect of our lives. Nanotechnology is so interesting in healthcare, and I hope they'll come to it. But nanotechnology is really about going very, very microscopic, things that a human being would not be able to actually do with their hands. A machine can do that with laser precision. And so whereby you used to have endoscopy to actually look inside your gut, you can have a very small pill that you swallow, and that can take pictures. This is what we talk about nano being the size. And then obviously modern machines, drone technology, 3D printing, etc. Now, when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, there are some adaptive technologies of aligning value chains. So if you remember, we talked about information. There's actually the data, the expert information, but there's also connection between different people. So what you see as cloud computing is basically cloud-based technology that sits somewhere else, not on your physical location, but somewhere in the cloud. But then you're able to access it no matter where you are. And Yahoo has an example as part of our digital transformation. Move to using cloud-based technology. So we started in 2017 with our financial management system that is cloud-based. 2018, we started using Office 365. So our Office and our Word and our PowerPoint is not the physical thing that you downloaded on a CD. It's all accessed through the cloud. And our HR automation, which was done in 2018, which is using SAP, actually uses cloud-based technology. So this year, performance management is all automated. And it allows us to connect people across different sites without so much human intervention. And you know, with human intervention, we have error. One thing about human beings, that human beings make mistakes. But you know the beauty of mistakes? You can learn from the mistakes. And that's how human beings adapt. And this is what we talk about adaptability. So mobile devices, Internet of Things. Internet of Things is basically saying, we used to have internet only for our computers. But the Internet of Things involves everything around you. So you can have your computer connected to your fridge, connected to your alarm system. And I've always been excited about this. So my fire alarm system in my house actually is connected to my phone. So that if there's smoke, I get an alert no matter where I am. The Internet of Things is using internet to connect everything. So that you don't have to be physically there in order for you to do an intervention. So I think for the rest, I'm just going to move on to the biomedical development because you have now things called precision medicine. And hopefully the next slides, I'm not going to go too much, these are just lists. So I wanted to put this quote in, machine learning or artificial intelligence or AI involves training algorithms on data so that they become able to spot patterns and take actions by themselves without human intervention. Now, when I was doing emergency medicine, I could tell, I became a registrar before I left, but I could tell the difference between a junior doctor and a senior doctor. The junior doctor brings the theory. So if you ask them about different differentials, they'll tell you all the different differentials. and he'll start with the rarest thing in the world, which is obviously correct, but in the ER where you have to make decisions on the spot, that is not how you do medicine. However, when someone's had experience, they start to use different ways of making decisions. And pattern recognition is one of the biggest tools an ER doctor has. See, I've seen this before. I can't remember when. I see this pattern, I see this progression. And so, by intuition, I might do an extra test just because I've seen this before. That is what an ER doctor or any other doctor who's done the work gets. They start to see patterns. And so what you're seeing is that artificial intelligence is trained on the data that is generated with the computers. You see training to make mistakes and start to see it's a pattern occurring. And so I have some pictures of Watson. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of IBM Watson. Some people have. So it's a great movie which I think you should watch. The movie is Hidden Figures. Has anyone heard of the movie Hidden Figures? Yes. Okay. Brilliant example of how to prepare yourself for a big wave. In the movie, it's about a woman who actually, as part of the airspace, not airspace, but as part of the US program, NASA program, to get a man on the moon, these women use technology. They use their individual expertise, but their perseverance to learn about things that have not yet come into being. And so the thing that you see is IBM. IBM had this huge machine, and one woman learned how to use that machine. Now, IBM Watson is the next generation. It's over several iterations. IBM Watson has been able to not just shrink, but has been able to expand its capabilities to now predict and give advice to data. So this is what we talk about learning. And so radiology, IBM Watson is able to interpret X-rays and CT scans to a higher specificity, to a higher degree of accuracy than the best radiologists. And what it did was to pair these radiologists looking at X-ray films and looking at their success rates and comparing that to IBM Watson. So what you're seeing is that IBM Watson has been able to analyze so many X-rays, so many CTs, that they're able to now start to make some decisions on that. IBM Watson obviously famously was used in terms of a chess match. And with the chess match, they played against one of the best in the world, and IBM Watson beat that chess player. So this is how IBM has had to adapt. But IBM did not win the race in democratizing information. And so they kept to a specific niche, and that's what IBM Watson currently is being used now. In terms of the other technologies, you also have cars. And I wish I had a video to show, because the cars, most cars have sensors now. And the sensors tell you if you're going to back up to a wall or something like that. Now, what it's started to do is to predict behavior of cars that are in front of you. So if there's a high chance of a collision, it alerts you early so that you can stop your car. And so Tesla is a great example of this technology at use, but now you start to see that other BMW, all of these are beginning to use this technology. And actually, the difference with the alert is through analysis. But then if the car is able to stop on its own, then that is the bridge between the analytics and the robotics. So I have a picture that was showing this. I have some pictures on precision of robotic surgery. So every molecule has a frequency. And so the hand is able to do things to a certain degree of accuracy. And so for most things it can, but when you start to go to microscopic, you need to have robotic and lasers. And so the picture I had was of the surgical theater, whereby those robots that were at the patient side, and you see the surgeons using modules, but they are separate from the patient's bed. It was just to give you ideas as to how it's being used around the world, but these are still quite niche because it's not been democratized. So I think that's all I want to say on this topic. on this slide, but I'd like to, this phrase, and I have a picture there, this is not the case, was a picture of Terminator. I think when people hear about artificial intelligence and robotics, the image that comes to mind is the sci-fi movies from the 80s and 90s. So Terminator is an example of how technology can be used, but it is not the case. And that is, we're still a long way from there. And I think that's a message that you'll start to hear a bit more when you hear about how it's being used in terms of robotics. But when you are talking about technology or revolutions, my advice here is not to be afraid of change, but be inquisitive, because by being inquisitive, you actually become more empowered, because it's not fear that's driving you, it's rather reach the knowledge. That was what this slide was. Now, why should we care? So I'm bringing this back to Africa, and I always start with Africa because Ghana is actually not. We have borders, but the borders were drawn by people. But the land mass of Africa is connected. And you might not know it, but when we had the Ebola crisis, was for the first time coming to West Africa. It had been happening. The DRC had been happening in remote villages, and these remote villages were contained because people were not necessarily moving to the jungle, so they could actually control these. But for the first time, the Ebola crisis came to Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, and it was because of the movement of people across borders. And once it went into a population, being able to start to count, in terms of public health, when you start to trace, it requires human beings. This actually had never been done in very densely populated areas. So Ghana was where we had the conference that was really preparing the region for Ebola. And there was one case that was suspected in Nigeria. If that had actually gone through, and it was not Ebola, but if that had gone through the airport, I think that would have been a crisis that the world would not be able to contain, because you can imagine that Lagos is about the same size. This is where the data comes from, but Lagos is Ghana in terms of population. And so how do you contain something like that? So the first suspected case of Ebola came to Niamey. This was in 2014. That before I had started as MD, but I was preparing to come. And that was a suspected case of Ebola. Suspected. Now, we as an organization had to make a decision. Our duty of care was the patient. So the patient came in and was coughing blood, was vomiting blood, and we had to quarantine, we had to do everything. In terms of diagnosing, it took 3 days. And the doctors and the nurses who were there stayed, did the right thing. In the end, it was not Ebola, but they did the right thing. It says a lot about human beings, because in the news, Yahoo wasn't in the news. But if you know medicine in terms of infection control, it starts from when the patient started vomiting. And the patient started vomiting in a hotel, which then went to the ambulance before it came to Yahoo. So it goes to show that human beings have to make self-intervention. But I say this because Africa, we should all care about Africa, because we are only as strong as our weakest link. Ghana can talk about its policies and everything, but if a country, let's say Burkina Faso, does not have its public health systems, if it does not do something to prevent the spread of disease, we are vulnerable. So the message here is that we always have to, I used to be very anti-Africa because I was trained in the UK. I'm from Ghana, not from Africa. But I think that coming back to Ghana, I think I realized the importance of this conversation, because it is being aware of what is going to influence us. And so when we look at unsustainable costs around the world, and I think this was a bit rushed, so I apologize. Normally I don't put as much text. And I think the font I use on my laptop is different, so it's not necessarily easily readable, so don't read. But the main concept here is that if you look around the world, OECD countries are supposed to be one of the richest countries in the world. But even in those countries, when you look at the decision-making of the population does not, they bypass consultation because of cost. The statistics say 33% in Poland, 22.3% in the US, 20.9% in Switzerland. These are decision-making in terms of behavior, people who are not accessing healthcare because of cost. To give it, even if you talk about prescribed drugs, people are prescribed drugs. You as a doctor can prescribe antihypertensives, but if the patient doesn't take the antihypertensive, then they will continue to have their mobility uncontrolled. And so what you see around the world, this is in 18% of the US population, 11.6% in Switzerland, and it can go as low as 2.3% in the UK. But a vast population, a vast number of people don't take their drugs because of cost. And then we go to developing economies. And developing economies are obviously not as rich and don't spend as much on healthcare. But this is what you see, that because of how healthcare is funded, primarily through taxes and people paying out of pocket, what you then see is that in terms of inaccessibility, this is obviously not specific data, but on average, about 70% of our population are making decisions on their healthcare based on cost. 70%. You can be the best doctor, with the best communication skills, and the best intelligence, but as long as that patient says, the financial aspect is going to change how I make a decision, then it's going to be an uphill battle. Even in Yahoo, people have a perception that Yahoo is for the rich. It's really not, actually. It's for people who really care about their health. You find that we have people who come from the marketplace and they are prepared to pay to see a specialist. They might have seen other people, but when it really matters, they're prepared to pay. But then you also see people pulling together to pay. And so you see the full spectrum of the population in the organization. But even in Yahoo, you find that people bypass doing a blood test. Doctor, why don't you just give me the antibiotics? Why don't you just give me the antibiotics? Do I need to go and do a blood test? I know that he can give me antimalarials, give me antibiotics, and I'll be fine. So even in Yahoo, this is the behavior. So cost is a challenge that affects decision making. The second thing is quality. Quality, I'm passionate about quality because the reason why I came to Ghana was because a friend of mine, whilst I had my own condition in the UK, and I was treated by the top cardiologist, and I was treated within 30 minutes. My friend came to Ghana and through a sequence of events ended up dying at 24. And this was all preventable because there was nothing that could have been treated. And this is injustice. And so when you talk about quality and patient safety, it's an area that I'm extremely passionate about. But patient safety, this is about people dying. And I think I'm going to just summarize that in the US, they measure. And because of the data, they now have an awareness. This was done in 1999. It was thought that 44,000 to 98,000 people were dying because of preventable causes, because of human error. Human beings making a mistake because of some reason or the other. Then, in 2004, a Canadian study showed 1 out of 13 patients had their healthcare outcomes affected because of an error. In 2000, about 10% of all patient admissions. Then the data is not there, but 16.6. And what you start to see is that as more and more people are measuring, the percentage of people affected by human beings is high. It's getting higher and higher. And in our world, in our part of the world, we don't measure. And so there was a study that was done, which was looking at 26 low and middle income countries. And they found that the adverse event was about 8%. So you can say that was obviously, most organizations don't have their data. So the question is, how was it reported? You can go to a hospital and ask, did you have any medical pharmaceutical prescribing errors? And you'll be told 0. And actually, that's the case. Until you start to measure, you don't know. And I think this is the reality, that we actually are causing a lot of harm just because we're human beings. So around the world, we have this, if you look at the safest industries, you see that here, nuclear powers, European railways, scheduled airlines, in terms of the number of encounters, in terms of fatalities, these are the safest systems in terms of repetition. So things happen over and over again, and you can be sure nothing is going to happen. But then when you look at healthcare, healthcare is placed in the hazardous section. In the same category as bungee jumping. Has anyone done bungee jumping? I went bungee jumping in South Africa. And to be honest, it was to get over a fear of heights. But you see that, you have to trust. I had to just trust the rope, trust the system. No, seriously, I was in a bridge and I was like, I'm trusting my life on this rope. Now, imagine a hospital and imagine the patients who are coming to you day in and day out. And especially if they don't have the decision-making power. They are trusting their lives into your hands. And this is a statistic that healthcare sees a lot more people than bungee jumping. I think if you look at the statistics, I'm the only one here. If I ask how many people have gone to hospital, you know, I mean, at least it's more than one. So it is not a safe industry. And now, just the last thing, in terms of healthcare delivery systems, I talked about the brain drain. The brain drain happening in the 80s, 90s, even before that. My father, the reason why Yaku was the first group medical practice. The nuances in the word, it wasn't the first thing. But in 1970, when my father was actually from down to the 37 Village Hospital. And he moved out of that because of the Mayo Clinic, the story of the Mayo Clinic, and its philosophy. And so he had 7 to 8 they had a number of colleagues who had come down. Ghana was not training doctors at the time. So a lot of them came together, and that's how Yahoo was founded in terms of its philosophy. So Yahoo was the first group of medical practice in terms of the private sector. It was happening in the public sector. So right now, we have 60 specialists. Now, what I'm trying to say is that the collaboration has an impact. Diversity has an impact. And when we look at this, we have to look at the future of our Ghanaian economy in comparison to the world. Around the world, people are living longer. And today, I was actually in a different function. I was speaking to the director of policy of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Wono. And Williams, and from Planjuro. What I was saying was that I was learning a lot from the Ghana Health Service in terms of how it did certain things. In terms of, I'd gone to another conference where they were doing the wash and hand hygiene, and I was impressed by their data collection in regards to that. And I said, so many private hospitals are not doing that, and for me, it was a humbling moment to learn. You know, we can learn from the Ghana Health Service. But they obviously aren't doing certain things well either, because what they were sharing is that when it comes to the type of things that they would have seen in the wards 20 years ago to what they see now, that improvement has been significant. It's not good now. It's definitely not good in comparison to the world. If you look at where we started from, where we are, a lot of times we need to start talking about some of these stories and sharing lessons learned, etc. So this aging population is a reality. People are living longer in Ghana. Around the world, people are living longer. So at the end of the day, when people live longer, they are not necessarily working past their retirement age. So the cost of healthcare becomes even more restricted for people who are retired. Because they can't work, they can't kind of get an extra job. And yet, they are the ones who are actually having a lot of these comorbidities. This is a problem for us here in Ghana because we don't have a social system that can support the elderly. But then we also have chronic disease, and chronic disease is a challenge. So I want to get to the crux of the matter, but I still need to give the story as what does this mean for Ghana. So when I was in medical school, I was diagnosed with hypertension. So I think this guy is not something you think. But when I was in medical school, my blood pressure was high. I have a family history of high blood pressure. And I had to do a lot of work. Salt, obviously, is sensitive, but they wanted to start me on antihypertensive, and I was like, no, because I don't want to be, I'm 20 something, I'm not going to start taking antihypertensives. So I had to start working on my diet, I worked with dietitians, I had support. I mean, the structure around managing chronic disease, but my mindset, so I'm also a doctor, so the cardiovascular risk, the 10-year cardiovascular risk, every 10 years there's no control, increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. And so that's where, like, I'm young. So every 10 years, from someone who's diagnosed at 50, and 10 years after that, I mean, every 10 years is going to be something that gives me a stroke, not a bit, but gives me a stroke at 50. I'm not willing to do that. And so the support system for chronic disease was for me to get over my mindset. The behavior change that required me to do all of these things was a lot of work. Now, think about the Ghanaian economy, the Ghanaian structure, and realize that most doctors don't have enough time to even tell the patient the diagnosis. How are you going to have time to look at behavior modification, behavior change? Because ultimately, you can prescribe, and if the patient does not take it, you haven't done your job. That's what we have to do, because your success is based on the patient getting better, and not the patient, not you prescribing. So this is a big concern for us here, and obviously, fragmentation, private sector, it does not work. Health cannot do its own thing. If you go to hospital A, and they treat you for something, you go to hospital B, they treat you for something else, like you don't have any information. As a doctor, you are compromised, you're handicapped. And my friend who died because he went to hospital A, B, C. By the time he went to Colorado, it was just mismanagement. And it was to do with the fragmentation of our healthcare system. Private sector has to speak to each other, but private and public sector have to all speak to each other. And you need to be concerned about this, because your job as a doctor is only going to be frustrated if these things remain unsolved. The pictures are not coming here. So, at the end of the day, I think, to be fair, I mean, I'm also looking at the time, and I don't want to keep on talking, because I think that the conversation, question and answer is really good. So, let me tell you what's happening. So, I think Ghana is doing some things right. So, there is Ghana National Healthcare Quality Strategy done by the Ministry of Health in 2016. There's a clear strategy. It's very comprehensive. If you Google it, you'll find it. And that strategy maps out how we actually continuously improve the health and well-being of Ghanaians through the development of a better coordinated healthcare system that places patients and families at the center of healthcare. And it's a great mission. That now execution is going to be the key. So it's not enough. So the considerations for us, access and affordability. Some places are remote. How do you access them? There's no way to do it on your own. It needs a road, it needs a bridge, and until that happens, you will have a challenge of access. You can have stroke, and this is an issue for us right now. You can have a hospital that can give you a solution, but the time it takes for you through traffic, even with an ambulance to get from A to B, the golden window of 1 hour is missed. So we cannot get quality care if we don't find solutions. The workforce is a challenge. We don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough nurses. And that's why you exist here. It's in our interest that you do well. It's in our interest that the private college of medicine starts to get bigger and bigger, because there just are not enough doctors. Regulation needs to work. Now, ethics, equity, social considerations, data. Whose information is it? When you see a patient? Maybe I'd like to ask a question. Ethics, I believe you have an ethics lecture today. So whose data is it? I'm hearing some things. The patients? The patients? Right? Okay, so if you talk about big data, which is about analyzing the data, have we asked consent from the patients to analyze their data? It's a scary thing when you start to look at what's happening in highly regulated countries like the US. So Facebook, Cambridge Analytica, that whole scandal. is in a highly regulated country. Ghana is not, is poorly regulated. And so you have to ask yourself, all the data that you're generating on your phone, not to scare you, but there's a conversation as to whose data is it and how is it being used. And it starts with us. So how is it transforming? The picture here was about zipline. Zipline, obviously we've heard about zipline. Zipline is using drone technology to drop things off. Great, fantastic. It's able to use geomarking because of the cell phone. That's amazing. I had another one here about Novartis and the Ministry of Health trialing telemedicine. They're trying to actually get, they're not going to be able to get. Ghana has only 2 or 3 neurosurgeons. I mean, there are not many. How do you actually have group all the like crap or pharmacy? Your subspecialists are not going to go to, I was just trying to think of somewhere but any other place that is rural, you will not be able to get the specialists to go there. So you have to find technology. And I think this is a pilot that Novartis is actually doing with the Ghana healthcare service. I have this Yako and GE. So maybe it's because of where I took these pictures. So because we have technology, because we have internet and that's fast, the CT has its remote monitoring based in Lagos. So the Lagos actually, if there's a problem with the CT, the alert goes and they call us, and they're able to troubleshoot, they're able to solve it. And so that remote monitoring has reduced the time it takes to fix a problem in terms of diagnosing. Before, you had to fly someone from South Africa, because they're all based in South Africa, fly them to Ghana, they will diagnose it, and they'll say you need parts. So you have to order the parts from Turkey, and then it has to come, and then it comes to you, and it's fixed. And the cost structure is huge, but with remote monitoring, the cost structure goes down. So this is a relationship with GE, but what we're opening, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be opening our NICU, our neonatal ICU. And one of the exciting things is that this actually, the monitors are Internet of Things. So the monitors are Internet enabled to connect to the Wi-Fi, such that the data in terms of the monitoring can automatically sync to an HIS, the Hospital Information System. Our current system does not connect on the phone. And so the time we did it was customized to us. But right now, there's still a solution. So we're going to an open source solution, customizing that, and then you can access it on your phone. So that doctor can be somewhere and they can monitor the patient's vitals. So this is what is happening. So let me just end with this. I mean, I think this is something that was, trust me, I'm a doctor. My name is Dr. Tamasberg. I used to introduce myself by Dr. Tamasberg. I work hard for that name. I'm not letting go. And in terms of getting hair miles or trying to get an upgrade, I'm trying to say, come to that shift. And please upgrade me. Doctor helped me in certain scripts. And so you see the egocentric approach where the doctor is the expert. Now doctors it takes you 6 years here to train. Now the world needs more doctors. You're going to have to find a way of amplifying the knowledge. And the doctor no longer is the expert. So most of you, when you graduate, will not be the expert on the floor. You'll have to do extra years to become an obstetrician. And if you then become an obstetrician, you'll have to spend even more to do work at the early stages of life. And so the reality is that most of you don't need to leverage time to get information and knowledge. You need to leverage connection. And you need to leverage finding where the information lies to make decisions. As long as you're connected, as long as you have access to information, you can actually make a decision without you having to be the expert at that patient bedside. And so I just want to say that the doctor's role will change. We have reached the peaks of bringing patients to the healing centers, our hospitals, but we are now on the brink of bringing the healing to the patient. So patients are everywhere. And how do we, as a doctor, as a medical student, but once you become a doctor, how do we bring the healing to the patient? And you need to understand how to use technology to do that. I want to, I mean, I have slides I can do hours on, but I did commit to, I wanted to do 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm not really sure what the time is now, but I think it's more useful to have a Q&A. But the main, technology is great, but it is about human beings. Everything that you heard me say, human beings are going to be making decisions. That's not going to change. And so if you look at the beautiful strategy the government has, that strategy needs to be changed into operation, and it needs to go to executing to the patient's bedside. We're all part of that. So this is something that was a finding. They surveyed 15,000 managers, and this is what they said. The three highest ranked leadership challenges are developing people, conflict resolution, and innovation and change. Now, I love this because developing people is what you're doing. All of you are, the students are going through a very different way of studying. It's a student-focused or student-centered approach, which St. George's was quite innovative. Where my medical school was very innovative in that. I did case-based learning, problem-based learning. So you are driving that. I think that's better than someone telling you information. But the challenge is, how do you develop people? How do you communicate? Conflict resolution, so many Ghanaians are afraid of disappointing people. That is a big barrier in our culture. We would rather tell someone we can do it and fail them than for us to say we can't do it. And if you look at the culture of safety, you have to say, I don't know. If a patient is in front of you, you need to be able to tell the patient, I don't know. In fact, even more important, if you made a mistake, you need to be able to tell the patient, I made a mistake, and I'm sorry. Because the reality is that if you want to get to innovation and change, innovation comes with exploration. And my daughter, another young daughter, my daughter's a perfect example. When we were born, my daughter at 3 does not know anything. She goes and explores. But she trusts that her daddy is going to be there to kind of stop her if she ventures too big. She doesn't think about the fear. She goes and she explores and she discovers. And as she discovers, she becomes innovative. So trust is at the center. Now, if we in Ghana don't get over the behavioral change and start to develop our people to become better communicators, better change agents, we will always be at the back end of innovation. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because I think that the doctor of the future, I'm skipping this, the doctor of the future is not going to be an expert. The doctor of the future is going to be a human being who leverages technology in making decisions, helping patients arrive at the right decisions for themselves. Because going back to this case school, you have to be a human being, and actually technology is going to help us to be better human beings. It's going to manage our errors. The errors, we don't need to worry about the errors because technology can take it away. In terms of the knowledge, we can get access to people, but it will free us up to spend time and speak to patients and actually do the work of the healthcare or healing that we talk about. And I'm going to just say that let's go back to basics. I'll end with this slide. The basics matter. Communication, care, empathy. The fourth industrial revolution means nothing if we don't improve the health outcomes of our patients. It means nothing in healthcare, especially in Ghana. We should not be fascinated with the shiny, but we should go back to the basics. And we need to look at our success metric as a patient who says, because of cost, because of all these things, you've taken care of it because we reduce costs, we leverage technology, and I'm alive because of it. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me.
Time for you also to ask questions. Critically and start with the definition, the differential diagnosis. Yeah.
Yes. And the second question was also about our behavior as Ghanaians and not being able to speak up for ourselves and say what's really on our mind. How would you suggest this change, or what are some things that we can do to change this behavior?
When I came to Ghana, it was this night and everyone was working aside. And people didn't want to necessarily meet you, they saw you as a competitor. And the reality is that we're still going to compete, but there's certain basic things that we need to do. So I think that for me, how I have approached it, because I think I've dealt with disappointment. I've dealt with people breaking trust. I've dealt with, lots of things which were not good. But I think that I had to, first of all, stay humble. Just because I had an idea to do it this way doesn't mean that this is the way it has to be done. And so I had to stay humble to now become a bit more adaptive and creative. So I think, we had the Dr. King and Tamil Medical Symposium. We had our 45th anniversary in 2015. We started, as part of the 45th anniversary, we had people we thought were key decision makers together for a forum, just to speak. It was an evening event. And an evening event, then people start saying, there's no such forum, this dialogue is new, this is when all of us, the insurance, the healthcare providers are there. And the next year, we didn't do anything. And the following year, we did a day conference. And then found out again, things which we didn't know, people were starting to talk. And so the next year, we had it at Bali, which was, we got a speaker from Lagos, Guru Hospitals, who had become accredited, international accreditation. And again, we started to see connections. So this year, we called it the Healthcare Forum. And it was interesting because I think that it was not intentional, but as we adapted and learned, so learning what worked, what didn't work, it's become this whole thing that we didn't set out to have. And it's become bigger than us, actually, because we had people from around the world attending. And not because we intentionally invited them, but because they heard about it. So I think that the first step for me personally was to stay humble, and then to learn and to be adaptive and creative. In terms of for Ghanaians, when I came to the organization, at the same time, our nurses, our doctors have come from other places, they come with a culture. So how do you change a culture? And so it starts slowly. It actually change doesn't happen overnight. And I think you have to be prepared for an uphill battle. I've had people say, all your problems are because of me, your homes, everywhere. But I think that stay the course and become self-aware. So I had, this is what I did with my management team. So I first had to find a critical mass. Critical mass was my management team and people I influenced. So definitely, if you didn't have the right culture, I would not keep you on. I would performance manage you out. But the way I would do it would be to tell you to your face. I would not go through HR and say to you that you're doing this well, you're doing that. This is not well. This is what you need to do. I'm giving you 3 months. After 3 months, monthly check-in. If you've not done it, sorry, you haven't done it. I need us to agree, follow through what we agreed. So I started to build a critical mass of people who got it. It took me about 3 years to get a critical mass of leaders. Then I recruited an HR director who was coming from another industry. She had been in Ethiopia, had led a change in Diageo, different industry. But again, what I was looking for was competence. I was looking for the values. So her value system agreed with my value system. And so when she came in, she then started working. Now we have a coaching culture. We have the Emerging Leaders Program, which is throughout the organization, a subset of people who get it, the critical mass, and then they have coaches. They also have peer coaching circles. And what we're trying to build is this, self-awareness. We're trying to build a deep self-awareness because when you look in the mirror, doesn't do you any good to look in the mirror and to tell yourself that you look A or B. It is what it is. Don't be afraid of the truth. The truth is the truth, but once you know it, you can do something about it. So what we try and do is take people on a journey to build their self-awareness. And once they see it, actually most people are not stupid. Actually, I've come to the realization that most people, if they accept it, if they accept and become aware, it becomes easy to manage themselves. It's the acceptance of what they see. That is the barrier, the biggest barriers. So I hope that helps you. So a tip for all of you is to journal. I'm not sure if you've done it, but every morning, I used to do it every single morning. I now do it in crisis moments because I'm able to find a way, a system of journaling my mind. But when it's really bad, I still have to put pen to paper and journal. Because in journaling, by the time I hit page 3, I get a deeper awareness of what's going on. And then I can do something. So is it fear of failure? Is it fear of conflict? What is the root cause when I'm going to my board? What is at the root? And then I can do it. I can do something about it once I'm there.
I just have a little question, especially as we're dealing with a lot of millennials. This morning, I heard an argument that medical students these days feel that they don't really even need to learn. Because after all, you can go on the internet and find all the information you need. So why learn and why do you need to pass
That's a big question. So in all of this, I haven't shared my age. Actually, one of the things when I came to Ghana, I was 30, currently 34, just turned 35. I'm born in 84, so I'm at the upper end of millennials. And actually, interestingly enough, my management team and my exec team are a different generation, Gen X, which is in the mid-40s, 50s. They're very different to my board, who are in a different generation. And a lot of my frustration is about communication. So the issue of millennials is not this one of Generation Z is a different one, which is very different. But my understanding of purpose, I'm not sure if this is consistent with you, but I don't make decisions based on money. Money is good, but I make a decision based on my purpose. And if my purpose is to have a better, quality of life for my family, then I make decisions according to that. So it doesn't really matter, but the purpose really drives. I'm not particular about staying in a hospital. Like, a different generation will see it as, this is my job, I'm going to do it, I'm going to work at it. I mean, making a decision, if the hospital, because my purpose is the hospital's success, if the best decision is I step out, I'll go and find another job. It's not as difficult. So I think that's the flexibility that millennials have. Millennials are seen as entitled because of their parents. The parents actually, the parents gave everything without boundaries. So their parents were trying to give them something they didn't have, which was, I want to be your friend. But there's a bit of a boundary. So millennials don't necessarily have clear boundaries. Gen Zs do. Because even though Gen Zs wanted to have, their parents wanted to give them the best, because of the recession, because of what's happening at those times, the parents could not give them more. And so there's what was happening in the economy that affected Gen Zs. Gen Zs tend to be the best, tend to be purpose-driven, but they also tend to be turkey. So I think when it comes to learning, I think you just have to identify that the flexibility that millennials bring to work is that they are very adaptable. They can change very quickly. But then the discipline, and I think that there is a discipline to building a craft, that we need to go through the motion. I talked about journaling. So I see the feedback forms are coming. If I can get everyone's attention, because I do this in different spheres. I mean, I think that what you're doing here, you don't know how unique your setup is, because a student-oriented kind of curriculum, how you work, is very different. And I actually say that it's different because you don't know what you have until you go and experience it somewhere else. But this conversation is happening everywhere because going to the discipline, when I was learning human behavior, just because you can do it, doesn't mean that you can do it every single time the same way. And so, if I talk about that, I'm very open. So if I talk about how I handled my emotions, in terms of going into the whole organization, I cared so much about it, I didn't take leave. I cared so much about it that I became stressed, became very frustrated. So how I did things matters. So journaling for me, I have to discipline myself every morning to write. Painful, but the discipline helped me. Then over time, the discipline means I'm flexible. So now, I'm flexible with whether I want to go through the process in my head, whether I want to write. I now bring my flexibility to my work. And so I think that the strength of everyone in this room, you have the strength in that all of these technologies, all these things, 1 year maybe in my work, the following year it might change. And I believe that you can adapt. But if you don't have a strong discipline, the problem is that you don't have a framework. And because you don't have a framework, you can't necessarily replicate it intentionally every single time. It's not you who's choosing. It's your personal reactivity. So the system matters. The system matters because then you can choose whether you want to use the system or whether you want to use something else. I think that's a good hybrid. And I think that's where, if there's anything I can leave you with, I mean, real talk, if there's a real question, this is what I mean by fear of conflict or whatever it is. At the end of the day, the question that you have, don't leave without asking it. You might not agree with my answer, but actually, it might just help you in assessing it. So I encourage you, I don't know how much time it is for questions, but I really care about, this group of people. I care because I believe that you are the
But I don't know why, because I was expecting that I would have seen more doctors attracted to this, more senior doctors for that matter. Unfortunately, I didn't see that much, but that is not why I'm here. My question is very simple. You know, when I was in medical school, that probably way a few years ago, but I was told about a few things that technology is really solving for me. I mean, one of the things we talked about in public health was the delays to healthcare. The delays to seek, the delay to reach, the delays to receive. Now, I think it has used some kind of a one stretch to solve that problem so quickly that I'm not sure how we have oriented ourselves in terms of our training, training doctors to really get in there. Because if you are talking about the patient's delay to reach, the patient's delay to see. Now it's easier for, I didn't want to explain this, but I thought the millennials of your time would know what I'm talking about, where you can come and sit in front of a doctor, where even if you're not a doctor, you can always be looking at the side effects of the medication that the doctor has prescribed to you. So that alone to tell you how much the people who really seek medical care know about it. So that I just want to know how our training of doctors should change to really meet this kind of information. But I was attracted to this fourth revolution, how it has to affect many things. You mentioned a very new strategy which is coming up to the Ministry of Health, which I thought was also must have something in it that would help merge the systems that we are putting in place to receive these patients and offer them the care that they need. I mean, when I look around and I see even the way we are struggling in putting up an ambulance service and a workable ambulance service to really get ourselves, our pre-hospital care, our emergency care source. And I think we're today on that one. Find it difficult how we can really now go in there and then try and change the doctor. When I don't see the doctor that needs to change here, I don't know whether there is a message. And
reality is that this is a big, complex problem. Complex. But then I look at it, I think you guys, if I'm honest, I was approached at this year's healthcare forum. It was an American guy who came to Ghana, and he was bringing in a solution called daycare, which was technology based on Uber's model, but for ambulances. So what he was doing is connecting ambulances on the platform, and basically he got the geomapping, connecting the patient to the ambulance, and then you can democratize all the ambulances instead of the hospital owning one or two, in terms of it not being used. He was using technology to connect the two, and he was young. I think he was like 23, 24, and had chosen to come to Ghana. He had maybe his uncle or someone was connected to Ghana. For me, this was a young guy who saw the problem and saw the opportunity and did something about it. And for me, honestly, great idea. How he can execute it will be the challenge, because I think that the thing about the idea is not enough unless it's executed. And to execute, you need to negotiate and you need to influence. And to influence, I mean, if you talk about who he has to influence, the Ghana Health Service, the decision makers there, how do you come in as a young person? Millennials, I mean, when I came in, I was young and I'm dealing with some of the teams and whoever in the organization. I had a coach, and my coach, we worked on a plan, a strategy of how I was going to be coming into the role as managing director, because as managing director, I need the authority to make a decision. But the way I do it is not going to be to have my grades and just walk and get respected. In fact, I came in and said, call me anything. I came in and then people started crossing the line. And so I reverted back to his daughter, Tamako. And so the thing is that the strategy was to go to respect their age. I had to go to them. So it was a strategy, 3 months, go to them, ask them what they thought. What do you think? What are the problems? Get it, and then the second time they came into my office. So this was actually planned out in terms of human behavior. I was in my office. I didn't sit in my seat. I sat on an equal playing field, which was like a sofa. But I had a picture of my dad behind me. I had to leverage credibility from my dad, and I had to say, this is not a new solution. I've heard you. This is what you've said. This is how I see the connection. This is how it relates to that. And I say this because when we implemented the hospital information system, I had resignations, about 3 resignations from some of our long-standing specialists. And they brought the letters. They didn't speak to me at all, just handed the letters. So I asked to meet them and I met with them, and basically I just inquired, and what I found out is that they didn't know how to type. And because they didn't know how to type, they didn't want the patient to see them struggling to type, because they thought that would then not help them to do their role effectively. Now, it brought up 2 things. One, the solution that we had was not the solution. It was able to do some of it, but we should have catered for, and I think technology at that time had not adapted, so it should have voice enabled, so that it wouldn't reduce someone's dignity. Having a solution which could write and could translate. So I'm saying that all of this was because I had a coach. But then the second thing is that the way I was trained, I'm not sure if you do it here, but I had every week communication skills. Communication skills every afternoon. And the way to do communication skills was to teach the theory. So then they had a video camera, a group of us sat, and next. What was I saying? I had feedback. So we would have the angry patient, the breaking bad news. You'd have all of that. But then you have a video camera on, and your friends would give you feedback as to what you saw. And that was building my self-awareness. Because once you are aware of yourself, you're aware that you stand up when you're nervous, you do this. Then there's the soft skills, the behavioral science, that by you now becoming aware of yourself, by you now beginning to manage yourself, and by you now being able to execute by communicating, that is how then you translate the idea into reality. So I think that, to answer your question, I think that the ideas are there, the strategy is there. The problem is all about how it's translated into practice. And that means in medical school, we need to start teaching how to become more aware of ourselves and then use what we learned about ourselves to be effective. So if I'm going to go to a meeting with any person, I'm going to wear, depends on who it is, I'll wear my suit. If it's a local person in a position of authority, I wear a suit and tie. If it's European, I don't wear a tie. I just wear a open button. If it's a staff member who I'm trying to open up to, I go to their place. Doesn't come to me. If they've done something wrong, I sit in my chair with my desk, which is a barrier, and they sit there, so they know. And so I'm very intentional with my communication, and it's not because of myself, it's because I was privileged to have people who gave me the feedback, told me that I talk too much, told me that I go over and I repeat myself, told me that when I'm presenting, if I don't anchor myself in the presentation, I can ramble on and take people on a journey and they don't actually understand what I'm saying. So I understand myself so much that it helps me to then communicate my views.
Medical student in 5th year, and I'd like to know, if you had the opportunity to advise yourself in 5th year medical school, what would you tell yourself?
It's a good question. I think obviously, I mean, it's been 10 years. I think 10 years since my graduation, so it's not that long. And so I keep on coming back to self-awareness because I think recently I had to become a practitioner. And behavioral science, negotiation, and influence in business school, they teach this in business school. This is why they teach it at school, but I think I was so concerned about, maybe it goes back to your question as well. I did my housemanship, I did my foundation training, but when I was a medical student, I felt like I needed to be a specialist to do well. I felt like I was a good student, but I applied to all the top places in London and didn't get any of my preferred placements. I got my number 18th choice out of 25, which was in this place called Mersey. And I was thinking, where is Mersey? Liverpool. But I think that I was so bogged down by what my other colleagues were doing. And I probably wasted a lot of energy and worry on this path that I've mapped out for myself. I think that it took away from some of the joy of just experiencing my graduation, my first year. So I think that my advice to myself would be to not take things so seriously. I mean, obviously, I've passed. But I think that if I look at my journey, like I was not planning to come back to Ghana. I put attention, because the problem for me, being brought up in Ghana, I got accepted to medical school in Ghana, but being brought up in Ghana, there was an expectation that you are me, and you are me. And I found that to be very constraining, because everyone expected me to run an organization. I was like, just because of the son does not mean that I should be running. And I think people, when I got accepted to medical school, said, oh, because he's the son of, and I just felt like that was a bit of noise which I wanted to escape from. But my advice to you is that everyone here's journey will be different. So I ended up coming back here, coming back into the role which I said I would never do. But the reality is that most people here will start off on the journey and you'll calibrate along the way. As long as you're following your integrity and your values, I think that as long as you're consistent with your values, you don't compromise, I think you'll get there. But when you make decisions because of what other people think, or because of this utopia, it robs you of joy. And I think I would have had a bit more fun. Because right now, the time has passed. I have 2 kids, I can't lose 7.
Also, I think you mentioned or speak a little on telemedicine. So I want to know your views in terms of advantages and disadvantages, and if you think Ghana is ready for it.
I think telemedicine is needed. I think Ghana is ready for it. I don't think the practitioners are ready for it. I mean, I think that actually they can become resistant. And the resistance is not so much in the understanding, it's in the practice. So we actually, and this is what I mean by execution, we opened our satellites in 2017 with the intention of having the specialists at the main hospital and then having telemedicine, and it just did not work. Because the issue will be coming around time and cost. How are they going to be compensated? How does it maximize your time? Because are they going to trust the person who's doing, like, you cannot do everything with telemedicine. So if you're task shifting the examination to either a junior doctor or a nurse, now Ghana doesn't have specialist nurses, so is task shifting to a junior doctor. You have to trust that doctor's ability to elicit certain signs. I think because of the lack of trust, I mean, we just saw so many barriers coming up, and it was difficult. So the technology exists. In the UK, I was using telestroke. The radiologist was in the Isle of, covering an island called the Isle of Man. But the radiologist was covering the whole area. And then the specialist stroke nurse would see the patient, do the symptoms, and then you could do it. So now I can do that. We have MiFi. MiFi is strong enough to actually do video calls. So it's strong enough to do that. So to answer your question, Ghana is ready, but it needs people being willing to try and make mistakes. And I don't think there's enough people. But Novartis is Ghana Health Service, and I think there are some advocates of change in the Ghana Health Service because they were able to do a pilot. And so normally for change, when you have a pilot that works, people see the benefit. Then you can scale it. So I'm looking at that to see that's my own organization. I think that we then have to employ our own specialists because having contract specialists is always going to be difficult. So we actually now have a change in philosophy where we employ a lot of the permanent specialists in certain fields, and that means that we have more control and it's hard to get performance out of it. So I think as of next year, this is again, we're going to bring it back to
I want to ask a question in relation to the transparency and access. So my issue is with pharmaceutical companies, for example. So you have pharmaceutical companies which play like monopoly with the sale of drugs and access. So you have countries like the US where insulin, for example, is hundreds of dollars, but across the border in Canada, it's a fraction of the price. So if you have pharmaceuticals working with doctors, and the whole point of this revolution is to have access, and it's for there to be some form of transparency in terms of how much the drugs cost. in terms of, if you look at Ghana, for example, how do you regulate something like that? Because we have a failing healthcare system here. Not failing, but improving healthcare system. And I feel like, I know you've done, I mean, Yahoo Clinic has done things with General Electric and all that, and they're making drugs. But then, where is the control in terms of the pricing and being transparent with how much it costs and ensuring that everybody has access? Because cost is always a problem for the average person. That's my question.
So just to clarify the question, the reason why, or what needs to happen, or what can I do?
So it's what can be done to improve the situation? Because it's like medications are too expensive now. So what can be done to improve it? What do you think can be done as we move into this new?
Okay, great. I mean, I think so that I can answer the question and make it also relevant. Do you know that 92% of all drugs in Ghana are imported? 92%. That is a significant statistic, because if you just look at importation, it's coming as an FX, it's coming as a dollar or a euro or whatever. It is going to have the FX challenges. Then it's going to have the import duty and tax. Then it's going to be brought in by a distributor who's pulling it, who's got to make something on it. The distributor is then going to pass on. So maybe someone smaller, maybe you'll give it to you directly. So by the time it comes to the patient, everyone has looked at the cost it takes to take it down this journey. And then you're not even talking about the right storage, because the problem with regulation is that you can have the items coming to you, but the question is that has the storage and people follow the right system throughout, because that's how people lower costs. So the true cost of healthcare in Ghana, I believe, is underestimated, because the true cost of healthcare is got so many costs that you cannot deliver healthcare low. If you want to do it with quality in mind, you can't deliver it without it being a certain cap. So I think that it requires, in the private sector, I am convinced that if you can pull together people so that individuals are not buying small, if you can start pulling kind of cooperatives, and you purchase drugs by bypassing the distributor, because all the drug rights are done, all the drug rights go to you individually. And so at the end of the day, if you can do that, the cost structure can be met. In order to do that, I think that you need cooperation. You need technology to make sure that the right things are being done. And I think that is where there's probably hope. There's a company called M-Pharma. M-Pharma started off, and this is what I mean, they started off with the intention of just being a technology company. Their funding was coming from Silicon Valley. They're all young, millennials. Greg Robson is the CEO. And they started off to do supply chain management. And then saw this challenge, and then they changed slightly to try and get insurance companies. The whole thing was to lower the cost by pooling insurance companies. And then they realized that that was not going to work, and so they changed it. So I was driving in, and as you know, when you go to Spintex, the traffic light going to the tunnel from Spintex, you'll see this orange symbol called Muti. If you see the symbol, it's a big ad, it's like an orange flower on a white background. It's called Muti. And so they changed and pivoted so that their technology now is being used for data. And it's being used to give patients the ability to pay for their drugs over a longer period of time. And they're trying to bypass insurance by having direct relationships with patients because of the long run. And so it's interesting for me to watch because they've changed. I'm not sure how successful, but they just raised $9.7 million. And the money that they raised is to test and try and figure out. So I think that if they get it right, potentially what they'll do is that they'll bypass distributor. And so when they came, a lot of the local companies, distributors were pushing back. And then when they used to come to us and give it at 100 cities, because of them not giving it to us at 80 cities, and they came to us and they would say, we'll give it to you for 80 cities. because the profit margins were always high. So I think that competition will also help. But that technology, Empalm is interesting to watch. I don't know if they're going to do it, but they are already in many countries. And I admire it because it's probably in about 5 or 6 countries. At the same time I've been here, he has built relationships with governments in other countries. And because this is going back to, because he's actually very influential, I don't want to second guess it, but there too, he's got a co-founder who's white and he is black. Now, I'm not trying to say anything, I'm saying that the benefit of diversity and technology is being beneficial, but the funding is coming from California. The funding structure in California, they give money back because they know that some will work and some will not. So what they know to do is to get time, to figure it out. And if you are here, all of you have ideas, and this is why I'm excited about this group of people, because all of you should not see your role as a doctor as simply just being a doctor. You need to leverage technology to help you to be a better doctor. So there's currently ultrasound scans, which are pocket ultrasound scans, and it removes the need to do a number of things, it lowers cost. But all of you can champion and maybe come up with your own solutions. But the challenge you'll have is financing, because you cannot get patients. So I think I've tried to answer your question, but look at people who are doing Empower as one, and there's another company called Redbird, the pharmaceutical space, and then there's another company as well. I'll think it out.
Is that how you are? We usually don't do this. I usually give the board of chance. You know, I'm an old star. But today I'm talking to someone. I'm millionaire.
Before you get it back, I actually want to say that one of the things I'm trying to do in terms of diversity, I actually want to get a lot more people who have got the experience. Because people who have got the experience have something to give. And you merge that with every generation, and that's when you get innovation. Innovation comes from diversity. So there's a generational diversity which I think is missing. And for me, I feel it, because I think we have a lot of Gen Xers in the company, and they don't understand the Gen Zs well.
Right, okay. So, what I'm taking away is diversity and leverage on technology to be better. Yeah? Leverage on that technology to be a better doctor and be adaptable and visible. And most importantly, be innovative, compassionate, passionate, excellent, with integrity, and innovator, until to hold on to your heart power. He is your patron. And this time we organize this time as this official time. An official time we have gone beyond official time. So he desires to be with you. So it's up to you now to arrange the time. Yeah? And I'll come as a new student. So when you see me, I will copy your dressing. But, have the free time, right? Okay? And I've been told that what he's doing, I should, from the seniors, I should let juniors enjoy it. So we would do so officially also. But he's a patron, and so therefore, SRC will arrange for more casual meeting. Since I don't hold the best, I cannot promise a place, a time, and I can tell you, but please have something. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tamako, so much for coming to speak with us and to share with us. And I believe that what you have taught us today is important as we're coming up with young doctors, as we're learning different things. And it's important for us to think about technology and innovation and how that can change the way medicine is practiced and even delivered, especially here in Ghana. So, just want to thank you very much. And we hope to see you again. We hope that when we organize the SRC, we get together, we get to talk to you.
We also want this and it's a great pleasure to see one of my age groups here at this meeting. Dr. Problem. He's in Children's Healthcare in Germany. He's a pediatrician in private practice. He has been for Then we have Richard Lee, the tape Adi. And then Dr. Kofi Akinwa. Dr. Lawrence Gomsi. And not the last, but one of us is Dr. Who? We have refreshment separate from for you on the side. Oh, this will be coming.